Hey, Mike with Mike's Bags, and today I am reviewing the Brawler by Gladiator Cornhole. And this is the first Gladiator bag that I reviewed on my channel, but I did own a couple sets of them over the last few years. I had a set of the King Cheetahs, and I think it was the Cheetah Predators. And those are very similar bags as far as the template, the fill, the style of them. And so I was kind of expecting that from this bag, and this bag is nothing like those. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's definitely a very different bag from what I expected from Gladiator. So let's go ahead and dive in and break this bag down. Design-wise, this is a pretty standard design. This is design you see across a lot of their bags. It's pretty standard. I love their logo. I wish they would highlight this logo more. I think this is a pretty cool logo. If they just, I think they got rid of this and focused more on that logo. I really like it. They do change the backside. Sometimes the image here a little different. There's a few little tweaks, but all in all, it's the same design you see across their bags. And I do some special releases and unique designs from time to time. I tend to like those more. There's nothing wrong with this design. It's just nothing that makes me go, wow, I really love that bag. I want that bag because it looks cool. Right now, material-wise, the slow side here, this is the Surefire slow side, but it's the other side of the material. It's the same side you find on the Reynolds Typhoon, the Buffalo Deadhead, the Siva Penetrator recently reviewed. Quite a few bags are use this. This is that softer, pillowy type side of the material. I actually like the feel of this side better. It just feels better than hand, and I think they play very similar, so I think I like this side better. I'm gonna call it a 5-speed material. I think it plays pretty much in a 5. Now this material is very reactive to board conditions, so fast boards you can play up to a 6-speed. You start getting that moisture on there for humidity, it'll play down like a 1 or 2. So it does have a wide range and it does fluctuate through boards, but normal dry board conditions, which is where I tend to try to rate my bag speeds at, this is a 5-speed. Fast side, this is that game changer material. It's the same fast side you found on the Surefire, same fast side you found on Typhoon. It's an 8-speed, maybe it's a faster 8, so maybe we call it 8.5. I talk about it a ton. A lot of academics use it. It's fast, but somewhat controllable. It'll slap the boarding conditions, push to anything. So you're looking at a 5, 8, 8.5 speed bag. It's the exact same material combinations you find on the Reynolds Typhoon, right? This bag is also ACL Pro Stamp for 2023 for those who are playing ACL events. Template-wise, this is where the bag surprised me. This is a very big template bag. It's one of the larger template bags that I have. And the other bags I threw from Gladiator were kind of that small to medium templates. I was expecting that to kind of be and from my experience with Gladiator bags, that's kind of where they were. Now, from my understanding, this Brawler it's bigger than what it was last year. The 23 version is a bigger bag than 2022 from what I have been told. I never threw the older version, so I don't know, but it's usually a bigger bag. It's definitely, this 23 version is definitely a large template bag. It's a fairly full bag. There's quite a bit of fill in here. Now, it still has some flop to it. For being a full bag, it's still got a fair amount of flop. And a lot of that comes from the fact that these two materials are very loose, very pliable. They're not stiff materials at all, so I think that lends to the floppiness. The fill in here is a mixed fill, and it's actually a nice fill. You got a nice amount of fill to give you a good hand feel, get a good grip. You can grip this thing, lock this bag down, it fills up, ton of fill in here. It's got enough of that flat disc that your hand feel feels pretty smooth in here. And I recently reviewed those Razor bags, and I talked about, I think the Podium really was kind of the big one, about how big it was, how full it was, how I didn't like that. Well, the ratio that Gladiator has here, actually, I didn't have an issue with this bag. It's maybe on the verge of being too big, too full, but they went right to the edge and pulled back a hair, and I don't think it really is. So if you like this, reminds me a ton of the Typhoon, but fuller. So if you like the materials and the way the Typhoon feels, but you hate how loose, how floppy it is, you want a fuller version, that's what you got here. This Brawler, this 23 Brawler, is a fuller version of that Reynolds Typhoon. It's really, and I love the Typhoon. I kind of like the floppiness of it, but this actually gives me a different option, right? I can still play the same materials, but change a little bit in the way I play. So let's go ahead, and in fact, we'll go ahead and dive into playability on this. And so this bag is a versatile bag. Right? You can do things with it. You can do a lot with it, right? You can run bags in the hole. You can play your bag for bag style game, outscore your opponent, and try to win that way. You can also slow this material down and play a block style game with it if you want to. This material is controllable enough. You can throw blockers with it. It's a massive bag. It makes a wonderful blocker. It just takes up a ton of space on the board. And really causes a problem for your opponent to get around. So you throw blockers out there, you can really cause them to make their mistakes. And because it's so big, you can put more of the bag on their side and yet still leave enough down the middle or on your side to make it decent to collect. Now, collectability in this bag's actually a pretty easy bag to collect. Typically, fuller bags, I find fuller bags are easier to collect because they don't They don't accordion up. I talk about those loose bags they hit. They want to bunch up, accordion up. This bag's full enough that you just clip a corner. It wants to go right in, and you can drag those bags in or collect those bags pretty easily. So if you like playing a dirty style game, you can do it with this bag. And maybe even more so than, say, like a Typhoon. A Typhoon really is not a bag designed for playing a dirty style game because it's floppier, looser, tougher to collect. This bag, definitely with the fullness, is designed for that dirtier style game, and that's where I think this bag differs from a Typhoon, right? The Typhoon's a bag, if I want to just go hole for hole and run bags, I want to play that. If I want to play a dirty style game, I want to go with this Brawler. The other thing about this Brawler being fuller is it's definitely a bag easier, this fullness makes the bag easier to shape your shots. You can definitely cut bags with this very easily. This is a bag that you can roll, you can flop, you can do all those things. If you like to play a dirty style game, put the blocker up and then roll, flop over it, cut around it, and make your opponent deal with it. And if they don't collect your last bag, you can flip it over, slick slide, come down and collect the bag with no problem. Now, the issues I have with this bag, and it's not so much the bag as much as the materials. It's the same problems I always have with this Surefire material, and it's really the same no matter which side they use. One, and talk about humidity. When boards get damp, sticky from humidity, this side of material, it just doesn't move. Now, you can flip this bag over. This fast side will still move. So if you're in the middle of the game and conditions start to change quickly, you can flip it over and still play with this fast side material until you can get through the game to get to a different bag. The other problem I have is this material does want to kick. And this bag, being fuller and this mixed feel, it does have some bounce to it. There is bounce. So if you're not throwing a flat bag, this bag is going to kick on you. It's a fairly controllable kick. So, if you're consistent with your tilt when you throw, whichever way it is, you can play the kick and you can make it work and you can be successful with it as long as you're used to it and you know it's there. The other thing is this material wants to hang on the hole. And in my experience, the fuller the bag, the more bags tend to want to hang. I tend to like floppier bags because they hang less. This bag being fuller, I found that if I didn't have enough speed at the hole, if I had enough speed up there going up here, the bag would go, it would grab, spin, come around, whatever. Once that bag went up and stopped, if it was on the back or the back edges, it was very difficult to collect in. Even I really had to get really aggressive to go after it. If it was on the front, in the front course, I could do it. On the sides, I really had to come more with a cut shot. The problem you have with these is when you get fuller bags, they do want to bunch. Now, I never had an issue with these bags clogging the hole. I think I had a time or two they did bunch up, but as long as I had another bag, I could flip over, come in, hit them, and they seemed to go in. So I never experienced these bags actually clog the hole. On the positive side, again, it's a bag you can shape shots with. It's a bag that's a wonderful blocker. It's a bag that you can collect with. It does have some bounce to it, so you have to be careful. If you don't like a bouncy bag, this bag does have some bounce. It's not as bouncy as a bag that has an all bead feel, but I did experience my bag sometimes, especially if I didn't have them perfectly flat to land, they did want to hit and kind of bounce and hop a little bit, which means, if you're collecting, you gotta be a little careful when you throw a collect. If you go too close to the bag, sometimes they'll hit and they'll bounce over. You have to come back a little further to give a little more room, or actually come and land on the bag and push it in. But as long as you know that, you can deal with it. Now, the other thing is this bag's being fuller. They're not quite as floppy, right? So you don't get as much of that whole forgiveness. So if you're a little off left to right, I talk about the landing zones you have on bags. The floppier, looser bags have a wider landing zone. You go fuller, you kind of narrow it down. I don't think this is a smaller than normal landing zone, but I don't think it's really that much bigger because you don't have enough flop that if you get too far, if you don't get enough of the bag to grab the corner, it's just going to spin by or it's just going to hit and just catch. It's not going to actually spin around and come back in. So be aware of that. All in all, I did enjoy throwing this bag. I mentioned before, the Typhoon was one of my favorite bags a few years ago. I used to throw it a ton, loved it. This reminded me so much of the Typhoon, just a little bit fuller, fatter version of it. So it gave me a little bit of a different play style than what I get. Now, availability of this, Gladiator has a website, gladiatorcornhole.com. You go on the website. These bags were, I think they're like $96, $97 normally. When I went on there just for this video, they were on sale for $89.99, $90 for a set. You pay shipping on top of that. Gladiator usually has discount codes available. You can usually find to get a code for 10% off here or something different. So you can save a little bit. If you look around, do a little work, you can find a discount code. Not a bad price for an ACL stamp bag. It's not the most expensive. It's not the cheapest, but you're kind of on that middle to lower end of bag prices. I have no issues with it. I think it's a great bag for the price you're paying for it. So definitely, if you like larger, fuller bags, I think the Brawler is a bag for you. Definitely, I recommend checking that out. If you've thrown it, and let me know in the comments below whether you like it, dislike it. Also, let me know what other Gladiator bags you want me to check out. I thank you guys so much for the support, and thank you for watching.